Greetings, this is Charles Darwin, and now we're going to actually begin looking into this book that is called the Bible. It's actually a collection of books. And you start right off with the first chapter of the book of Genesis. And that happens to be also the chapter that causes the most controversy between creationists and scientists. And so I'm going to present to you an interpretation of Genesis that is widely accepted among theologians, but which you don't always hear in church. As a matter of fact, I'm willing to bet that you very seldom hear it in church. And that is that the book of Genesis is not a linear story of creation, or it looks like it. On the first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, the sixth day, and then God resting on the seventh day. That itself should alert you to the possibility that something's going on here. Why would God need to rest? How could even the creation of the entire universe have worn out a God that is infinite in power, present everywhere, and infinite in knowledge? Why would God need to rest? Obviously that means something different, and perhaps something symbolic. That should alert you a little bit. But still, most people seem to think that the days of Genesis are arranged in a linear fashion, one after the other. Many people have tried to take such an interpretation, for example, saying that each of the days corresponds to a certain period of time in the geological history of the Earth. Many people have tried to do this. It's never worked. And the reason it never works is because on the fourth day, it says, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to separate the day from the night. Let them be for signs and seasons and days and years. God created the sun, moon, and stars on the fourth day." That makes absolutely no sense from anybody's outline of the history of the universe and of the Earth and of life on the Earth, unless, in fact, you accepted the 6 literal 24-hour days, 144 hours total. That is, in fact, one of the arguments that the creationists use. But I would like to present to you a framework interpretation that shows that Genesis 1 is actually more of a square rather than a line. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was, here are two problems that are identified that God is supposed to solve. The earth was without form, and it was void. That is, it was chaotic and in confusion, without structure. And secondly, it was empty. Those were the two problems, and then there are the 3 realms of creation: the realm of the heavens, the realm of the fluids, and the realm of the solid earth. So if you have 2 problems and 3 realms, 2 by 3 is 6, that gives you the 6 days of creation. And what these 6 days are is, the first 3 days, God takes disorder and creates order in the heavens, the fluid realm, and the earth. And then the last 3 days, days 4, 5, and 6, God fills up that realm of the heavens, the realm of the fluids, and the realm of solid earth. It makes perfect sense when you look at it in that way. And that explains some things that are otherwise hard to understand. So on the first day, God said, "Let there be light." And instead of there being kind of a vague illumination, there was definite, distinct realms of light versus dark, day and night. That was day 1, taking the realm of the heavens and putting it into order. On the second day, God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the heavens." Instead of a chaos of fluids, there was a firmament where there was the air above and the water below. Actually, the Bible also says that there's water in outer space, but of course we don't hear about that very much today because everybody knows that that's not true. And then on the third day, instead of the solid realm being mixed in with the fluid realm, what you have is the seas and the land are separated, and let the dry land appear as a distinct entity. And then, of course, the plants growing upon the dry land, because from their point of view, plants were part of the dry earth. And then, on day 4, we start all over again. We go back to the heavenly realm, but this time, God is going to fill it up with beings. Not really beings, but entities, the sun, moon, and stars. On day 5, people have always been puzzled as to why is it that you would have birds and fish created on the same day. That certainly makes no sense from the point of view of geological history of the Earth. But it does make perfect sense in terms of populating the fluid realms. The birds in the air, the fishes in the sea. And then there's the 6th day, that is the populating of the dry land. The creeping things, as the Bible calls it, referring perhaps to insects, reptiles, etc., and also to the mammals, beasts of the earth. And it's interesting to note that humankind, male and female created to them, were not even given a separate day. Humans were put in with all of the creeping things and the beasts of the field. So that adds up to 6 days. The seventh day is a day of rest, which has a spiritual significance, a time to sit back and think about what was done on the other 6 days. And that is a different kind of interpretation that you may never have heard before of Genesis 1. Now, what this proclaims is that God is in control of everything. Instead of it being a chaotic sort of war between different gods, there's just one God who is in control of everything and brings order and populates all these different realms. And that's a very nice idea. Unfortunately, it appears to not really be true. It doesn't appear that if there is a God who is in control of all the universe, that God does not exercise control. There's so many things that seem to happen at random, seem to follow an evolutionary path, and in our daily lives there are so many inexplicable things that happen that it does not appear that there was a God or is a God who is in charge of and imposing this kind of order on the entire cosmos. Well, I hope that you understand that this creates a different sort of interpretation of Genesis 1. I offer it for your consideration and let you know that many scholars do accept it. And it's actually a very interesting approach to the study of this very first and otherwise controversial chapter of Genesis. You see, it has nothing to do with the timeline of Earth history at all. 6 days, 6 geological periods, or anything else of that sort. This is Charles Darwin, tally ho and amen.